All right. Once again, I'm making a video in an attempt to promote my book, because why not? I'm going to show you this book that I wrote in some detail here. If you are a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, if you've ever played D&D, this book is D&D in story form. It is a story about 8 people who go adventuring, and the story is the adventures that they go on. Now, there's more than that. There's also the story within the story and things like that. But I wrote this a few years ago. I have narrated this book on my YouTube channel. All you have to do to listen to it is click on playlist, and you will find book 1 of Forestera's Fate. Now, I also have book 2. That is, I have written book 2, which is right here. Let's put this down here so you can see it better. The Caves of Ordered Randomness. It is almost as big as the first book. Not much different in size. And this cover that I used is just something that I got off of Amazon. I'd love to get something made even different cover, but don't know how to do it. I had it all set up because I wrote 2 short stories. I'm going to show you those as well. This is Sheila and the Dungeon Master. And I had a cover art done for these, and unfortunately it wouldn't transfer over, so I just used the same cover. Because this is kind of, it's sort of an extension. These are obviously short books of these books. I'm getting ahead of myself. Actually, this is a 5-book series. So book 1, book 2. If I ever write books 3, 4, and 5, this takes place just after book 5. But you don't need to have read these other books to read these little short stories. It gives you a little more information. That's all. The timing of it is simple. But these are short. These are also narrated on my channel, and you can see the cover art for these books in the playlist for the short stories. If you're interested in seeing the just gorgeous cover art that my illustrator, who I found on let me get it here, who I found on Facebook, Victoria Hozowska, she made the cover art for those 2 short stories, and they're just beautiful. And I really would like to get that fixed on Amazon, but that's okay. No one's buying them anyway. but anyway, regardless, I am going to give away 1 copy of book 1 here to 1 lucky person. I'll probably do a drawing again, so everybody who leaves a comment on this video will be in that drawing. That's probably how I'm going to do it. If I come up with a different way of doing it, I'll let you know. But what I want to do right now is just show you all of the illustrations that are in this book. There are black and white illustrations. If you don't want to pay for color illustrations, you can purchase these books on Amazon. Book 2 has no illustrations at all. There are no illustrations in book 2. There are no illustrations in here. I was considering doing some black and white sketches for these 2 little short stories, but decided not to do it. The color illustrations look better, but the book is more expensive because of it. I don't make any more money, whether you buy the color illustrations or the black and white illustrations. The difference in my commission, which I set the price basically, is about the same. It's somewhere between $3 and $5. I forget exactly how much I make when somebody buys this book. So this book is huge. It's a huge book. It's 540-ish pages long. I'm going to go right to the end here and double check that. 39, and so 539 pages would be the last page of the book. And I understand that's like, oh my God, that's a really huge book. It's very easy to read. This is light reading. This is not heavy reading. This is not Tolkien. I read Lord of the Rings. That was a hard read. I read The Hobbit. That was so much easier to read than Lord of the Rings. So this is much more like The Hobbit. It's light reading. It's easy to read. This is the premise of the story. That's why I'm flipping this around so you can see what the premise of the story is. But again, this, as I have like 4 people who left reviews about my book on Amazon. I would love it if anyone else would leave a review if you've read the story or just listened to my narration, because I narrate the entire book on my channel. You can then leave a review on Amazon if you'd like to, telling what you thought of it. You don't have to have read it to leave a review. I don't think so. I don't think there's any rule about that. I mean, if you've listened to my narration, you've effectively read the story. Also, there are links in each chapter. When you're listening to the narration, there's a link to the story on my blog, so you can read it on my blog. You don't even have to purchase my book to read it. Now, someone said, why did I make it so readily available so that they don't have to purchase it? I said, because I think that's the right thing to do. If somebody wants to buy it, they're going to buy it, whether they got to read it or not. Now, this one, the second book, book 2, The Caves of Ordered Randomness. Here's the premise for. Here's what happens when you get to book 2. This is what's going on. I don't need to get into the specifics between what's going on with book 1 and book 2, other than what I wrote here on the back. So I'm just holding that up right now. I am going to show Sheila and the Dungeon Master. I consider these 2 books, book 1 and book 2, to be for ages 12 plus. Possibly someone could say, I would maybe say 13 plus for this one. Maybe 13, 12, 13. That there's going to be a difference of opinion. It's just my opinion. I haven't had them rated professionally or anything like that. But in my opinion, 12 plus, possibly 13, maybe 13 for book 2. With Sheila and the Dungeon Master and Sheila and the Dungeon Master 2, my opinion is that this is for ages 15 plus, and maybe this one is 16 plus. Maybe, all right? You'll see why when you read the premise back here. It is a little more adult-oriented. So the thing that I say with Forestera's Fate is there is no sex and no swearing in those books. That's just something that I've described it as. There's no sex, no swearing. In this one, there is. There's no swearing in this one. I don't think there's any in the first one, but in the second one there is. Not a lot, a little. Hence that involve strong language. So swear words are used. And it is maybe this is 16 plus. Okay, it's nothing graphic. It's not 18 plus. But I just wanted to show those so that you can see the stories that are available. All right. In this book, I'm going to show you just a couple things. Really like the font that I used for this opening piece right here. And then I have a series of dedications along with my preface that I wrote for this book, and then a synopsis and introduction. So all of that you should read if you're going to read this book. Don't skip any of that, in my opinion. You should stick with all of that. Let me go right to the illustrations, though, because that's what I wanted to show everyone. All the illustrations that are in this book I think are really wonderful. I feel very fortunate to have found or met Victoria on Facebook. We've never met in person. She lives in another country. But we have stayed in touch. So this is on page 12. This is from the opening scene. Now, I've also got with me, let me just show you that real quick before I continue here, the hardcover version of this. This is, this is hard, this is soft. You can see the obvious difference. This is a very expensive book because the paper is high quality paper for the purpose of illustrations. I purposely chose to do this, even though it makes this a very expensive purchase. It's like $80, $90 if you buy this book on Amazon, which I don't think anyone's going to do. But if you do, that's the kind of quality illustration you're going to get. It's sharper. The paper is a higher quality, which makes for a higher resolution on the illustration. So I'm going to show both just so you can see the difference. Let me just, actually, I don't need to save this. And if you haven't noticed, I don't do any editing on my videos. I have no editing software. If anyone in Chicago would love to show me how to edit my videos and make my videos look better, feel free to contact me. But this is still nice. This still looks good. But I'm just not a very, when it comes to editing and adding stuff to videos, I don't even know how people do that stuff. I know there's something you can buy to do it, and I'm open to learn. I would love to hook up with someone who knows how to do it and help me make better videos. I think it would be a lot of fun. But now I'm going to show you the rest of these illustrations in both books. All right, so this is page 20. Let me get the camera a little more better, a little more straight. And so here is a picture of the sacred shrine. When I described this to her, I did not anticipate all this that she did on the top. This was basically what it looked like. And she added that, and I thought it looked amazing. So it's very important. You have a person down here. You'll probably figure out who that is at some point. There's a sign here. It's just very, she did it beautifully. And I love the little birds that she added. It's very nice. And if we go to the hardcover, oh my God, it just stands out really, really well. So I just wanted to show that. All right, on to the next one. The thing about these illustrations is I do not make a lot of money. And the question was, did I want to make this kind of an investment? And because her prices were very reasonable, since I was going to be using her for a bunch, she gave me a discounted price, which is what finally made me decide to just go ahead and make that investment. Now, I have never made any money on these books yet because the amount of sales versus the amount of money I spent, I'm still in the red. And I didn't write these books to make money. I'd love to make money. I hope it happens one day. There's no doubt about that. I'm not going to deny that. But I didn't write the books to make money. That's kind of like a secondary goal. If it worked out, that would be great. But here is a beautiful illustration of Dalma. Let me see if I can hold this up and do it like this. Maybe that would look better. I love the way Dalma is drawn. Now, if you look closely, you'll see like on her skin, she's not a human. Okay, this is a well, I don't want to say what right now. I wasn't expecting the leggings when she did this, but the green is right. The yellow streaks in her hair are right, and the coloration is supposed to be yellowish and green, and her skin should be like a light brown color. Maybe I should have had her do it a little darker, but I thought it was just fine the way it came out. I think it looks really good. Now let me show you in the hardcover. All right, there is Dalma in the hardcover book. Just looks amazing. Love the way that looks. So we'll leave it at that and go on to the next one. All right, here is a very cool picture. I don't need to make any comments about it, but here's a close-up of the picture. So I added both because I really like the close-up, because you can clearly see that there is a woman on top of this creature. And it looks really, really great. Now let me show you the hardcover so you can see the difference in sharpness. Okay. Very significant contrast, I think. You know, both look great. So if you don't want to spend the money on a hardcover, you get the soft cover, which you're paying more than the black and white illustrations, but the black and white illustrations look good. But if you want a book with color illustrations, you have both options, and I think and I like that I have those options available to the reader. All right, next one. All right, so this is a late addition to the book. This was not in the book originally, but as I let you know here, this is Kish. I think I said the name of the other one. Let me just double check before I show you the hardcover version of this. Yeah, that first picture was of a character named Dalma. So this is Kish, so that you can see the difference in contrast. Let me just see if I can get them both. Well, let me see if I can set this up right. There we go. That kind of shows you the difference. You can see both at the same time if I flatten that out a little better. Love the way she drew Kish. It's a really, really fun character that I came up with that I really, really like, and I'm glad I was able to add it to the book. I'm glad she made an illustration of it. I said of it. I meant of her. Kish is a female. All right, this one does not have any names, so you won't know who these two are, but there's the soft cover and there's the hard cover, so you can see the difference in the sharpness of it. I am getting some light there. Can I get rid of that? There we go. That looks a little better. Block that light out. All right, so you can see the difference in the contrast. And I'm just going to show you this because this is only going to show up on the, if you buy the book with the color illustration, you're going to get some things where the color shows up. This is literally a D&D spell that I created, a level 9 monster summoning spell. It's probably not powerful enough for it to be a level 9 spell. I won't show the whole thing. We'll just leave it at that, though it may have been on there. Doesn't matter. I just wanted to show occasionally there will be color in the text with the color illustrated book. All right, so here is an illustration of Sheila, one of the main characters in the story, and there's the hardcover sharper image of her. Love the way she was drawn. So that's Sheila. I'm not going to say who or what she is. Oh, but I guess I should point out, you notice that her name here is in green, and there's a kind of a reason for that, but it's not significant. If the black and white illustrations, it's not like you're losing out that it's not in green. It's just an added little thing that I did. And on the very next page, we have Bale. So there is a dog-looking creature. I can certainly say dog-looking creature, and obviously some type of a wizard of some kind. Won't get into the whole details of that, but I'm very pleased with the way she drew this. This was her favorite one to draw. She had more fun drawing this, so very cool. All right, and here is the beautiful Latia. Love the way she drew her. I described her as strawberry blonde, and Victoria, apparently not necessarily understanding that, drew it this way, and I said, we're this is now her hair. This is crazy. I had no idea she was going to draw it this long, let alone that she'd use blonde on top and red on the bottom. But I loved it, and like, oh my God. So here's the high-res version. I'm trying to get the glare out. There we go. So you can see the difference. But man, the hair is just phenomenal. And I just love the way she drew this. Okay, so that's Latia. On to the next one. So next up is Lightmane, which is also obviously the name of my YouTube channel. Lightmane was originally my character that I created when I played World of Warcraft. I'm sure some of you have played World of Warcraft. And I created a human paladin, and I named him Lightmane. And when I wrote this story, I decided Lightmane is now an elven fighter magic user, or warrior wizard, if you want. So I'm revealing that here. Just love the way she drew this, and I was not expecting the sword to be drawn the way she did. It's just very, very, very cool. And so I'm like, yeah, that's great. This looks amazing. Okay, here we have Jograth. Get that glare out. Okay. We're about halfway through with the illustrations. So I just wanted to show you Ken Jograth, I should say. There we go. Got to get both names in there. All right, next. Next we have Nightwind. I'm sure you can tell that this is a dwarf. Now, I should also point out that not every illustration here is of the characters in the party. Every character in the party is one of these illustrations. I won't say which ones are right now. It'll become very clear very early in the story. If you decide to read this or just listen to it, you'll learn the characters slowly over time. All right. Again, amazing the way she drew this. Just I was not expecting all the details on the beard, but I was like, okay, yeah, great. Just going to show a little section of the book where I put it all in red just for the fun of doing it. Since I was using color, I could do that. So it stands out a little bit. All right, next up is Tenneth. Tenneth looks a little androgynous to me. Not really, just kind of a subtlety in the face. That's not intended. There's nothing implied here at all. I just kind of think he looks a little bit when I looked at the drawing. Other than that, though, I love the drawing. There is a reason for the unicorn on his armor. So very, very cool. All right. Now I am going to show this real quickly, which is going to give away some information on Shinfia. As you can see here, the tale of Shinfia, the human monk. So I put this in blue for a reason, and all the characters, their background chapters, which I've written for each of them, are started out like a character sheet. So it starts out like if I was going to create a character sheet, but I didn't create the whole character sheet, but just the initial part. So that's kind of like here's their character sheet. So it's and it says third. This would be third level. They all started at first level. That's just at the point of the story is where she's at. I was debating on how I wanted to do that, but okay. Let me show you what she looks like. All right, so we've got two illustrations to show you. So I'm just going to hold this down as best I can. Here is Shinfia, and then here is Shingar. I will not tell you anything about this. Love the simplicity with which Victoria drew Shinfia. Love how understated she is. Now, let me show you the contrast here between these two versus the hardcover. Very, very nice. There we go. So there is Shinfia and Shingar, and you'll learn about that in the story. And I should point out that Shingar is my own creation. It's something that I created on my own. And also, again, one more section where I use color in the text, which I really, really like. All right, so the next illustration here is of Jack. Again, this is the soft cover version. This is the hardcover, so it's a better illustration, but they're both good. Interesting thing with Jack, it's an odd name for this character, but my friend, when we played D&D in the 80s, he rolled up a magic user and he called him, for whatever reason, he came up with the name Cracker Jack. You know, the box of candy that we all ate, Cracker Jack. And I just said, well, I'm not going to call him Cracker Jack. I'll just call him Jack. It was kind of my paying tribute to my friend's character. Though this is very different character from what Cracker Jack was. Cracker Jack was ended up becoming a very powerful magic user in the party, and a lot of good stories with that. All right, next one. All right, now this is Phileas. I won't say too much. Again, this is very understated illustration. It's much more plain looking, and I really like the next one on the next page, which I'm going to show you now. So this is Genevieve, and I named this character Genevieve after a old family friend who had lived to be in her 90s. She died at the age of 95. Her name was Genevieve. So that was just my way of paying a little homage to her. Now, the interesting thing about this illustration, it looks like Genevieve has no arms. But all she's really trying to do here was show that her arms were behind her back. And that's just why it looks the way it does. But I love this. I love the little feet, the way she's got it drawn. It's very, very cute illustration. Just love it. All right, next one is Belfin. Not a whole lot to say about this one either. It's drawn all that needs to be said, basically. It doesn't have to be flashy. There's not a lot here. Love the way that he's holding his sword. I think it looks just the way I like it. So we'll go on to the next one. All right, and here is Raisha. Very, very cool looking. Let me see if I can flatten that out for you. It makes it look a little better. And then the hardcover version. Very, very cool. Love the way this is drawn. All right, just a couple more. Here are 3 items that are very, very cool. Sheila's armor, crossbow, and sword. It clearly says right there in the book. Very much like the way this is drawn. I'm getting that glare, but there we go. Try to get it out. All right, and then I have the map that I drew. Let me redo this. All right, I can't quite get this to be flat, so I'm just going to show you the one and then the other one. So I drew this just, on regular graph paper and was able to get it to transfer over to the book. So 1 hex equals 40 feet. This is the village where the story begins. This is their home base. So it's a detailed village. Let me see here. I think I can show you the details. Yes, everything is detailed here. So you actually have the name of every shop on that map in your book. And then lastly is the map that I drew over 20 years ago with colored pencils. And I'm just glad that it worked out. So that is the world of Forestera that I created. Let me show you the difference between that and the soft cover. It's just not much different. Not much. I can show it out like that so you can see them both. Very happy with the way this worked out. And I'm really happy with the story in general. I'm very happy with book 2. Now I just need to find the motivation to write book 3. I'm hoping. It's not easy. It took me over a year before I wrote book 2. I went over a year without writing a thing. But if I've piqued your curiosity, I hope you will at least listen to my narration on YouTube and leave a comment letting me know what you think of it on any of the chapters as you listen. There's just the start with the first video is an introductory video that is not part of this book. So that is something that only those who listen to the narration will have that information for them. There will be pictures in that first video. They don't show up for like a minute and a half or something before I finally get into the pictures. You'll see the picture of the map, the village, and things like that. And then the next video will be chapter introduction and chapter 1, which is right where everything that's in this book. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to say. No, I think that's it. I hope you give this a listen. If you would like to try to win a free copy, leave a comment. If no one leaves a comment, that's okay. I understand if you want to leave a comment but aren't interested in a free copy, feel free to leave a comment and just say, you don't need to send me a free copy. You can say that if you want to. I don't know why you wouldn't want a free copy, though. I mean, who wouldn't want a free copy of something, right? But regardless, I'm just doing it. I did this once before, and I've given away a free copy of my book, and I hope that the person who has it enjoys reading it. I'll eventually, hopefully I'll hear from them at some point. Actually, I've given away a couple copies now, because I gave away both book 1 and book 2 to someone else. So I do hope you check it out, though. Take a look at it on Amazon. There's a read sample on Amazon, so you can read like the first several pages. It allows you to do that. Read the reviews. Sadly, there's only 4. I wish there were more reviews, but I haven't really sold many copies. I've probably sold maybe 30 on Amazon. So, yeah, no big deal. I didn't think it would sell a lot on Amazon because most books on Amazon just sit because if you don't have a publisher, it's not, no one's going to hear about it. So this is one way that I can promote it to try to get people to listen to it. I don't know which one I'm more interested in, buying my book or just listening to the narration. I mean, either one is fine with me. I would love it if people would just listen to the narration and leave a comment so we can chat. People were listening. There were a couple people who were really getting into it, and then they weren't able to continue for different reasons. Life keeps getting in the way, you know? And I hope at some point they come back and start listening to it again, because I was loving what they were saying. Anyway, hope you enjoyed looking at these wonderful illustrations by Wiktoria Hozowska. If anyone is looking for an illustrator or knows someone who is looking for an illustrator, she is available. She doesn't have as much time now because she just had a child several months ago, maybe a year ago. I'm not even sure how long it's been, but I'm sure she would be interested in more work if anybody's looking for an illustrator. I think she's very good. She has a webpage. I think I made a video on my channel about her illustrations. Some really wild stuff that she's done. A lot of it's fantasy oriented. A lot of characters that she's drawn. I think she's played D&D and World of Warcraft. She's pretty young. I think she's still in her 20s. She's married and she has a kid. And I think she'd appreciate any work that could be offered to her. I think it would be great. So if you know somebody who might be interested in an illustrator, show them this. Check out the video I made of her art on my YouTube page. Just type in her name. It should come up on the search bar, and see what you think. All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.